Okay, well, the Jake Paul Anthony Joshua fight went somewhat expected. This is not a bad loss for Jake Paul, you know. I think he went out there. His game plan seemingly was pretty smart, right? Move around, don't engage early, and kind of drag this out so you can get that credibility of, well, I went a few rounds with the guy. And you know what? He actually was hitting AJ a few times. You know, this guy was throwing some heat at him, cracked him a couple times. I know it's nothing crazy, nothing that shook the legs, but Jake Paul went out there, went to the sixth round, hit him a few times, and even in the finish, it wasn't even that bad. You know, obviously he broke his jaw and dropped him. It was actually pretty bad. But when I say it wasn't bad, I mean it wasn't a flat line. It wasn't a Francis Ngannou situation where Jake's on the floor, limp biscuit style, just out there snoring away, right? Limp, okay? He went out there, he got dropped pretty bad. And, you know, still kind of clip farm. Looked at the camera, gave a little smile like, woo, he hit me. And then, obviously, the fight gets stopped. So for Jake, you know, you go out there, a few things happen, right? You get the credibility, and even though he's still getting the pay for this, you get the credibility. You went out there, you fought a giant, scary guy. You hit him a few times. You went, you know, a few good rounds, 6 rounds in before he was able to put you out. And, you know, I think what this does for Jake in the future, obviously, he's going to get elevated from this, of course. Win or lose, he was getting elevated. But mentally, in this big old head of his, you got to think, who can you possibly fight now that's going to make you scared? Pretty much, right? That's what I'm thinking. Like, you go out there against this guy, this has got to be the most nervous, most fearful you've ever been. You think anybody else in the scene, obviously he's not going to fight another heavyweight monster, you would think. He's probably going to go back to guys his size or, you know, maybe some other influencers who have some striking capability. You know, there's guys like Darren Till out there. There's guys like Andrew Tate. There's options for him as far as names go. The KSI fight's the big one that for some unknown reason just refuses to happen. But like none of these guys, none of them are going to make Jake as fearful as this guy. So you got to think going into his next fight mentally, he's going to be so much more, he's always relaxed. He's going to be even more relaxed now because he's like, oh, well, you're not a giant heavyweight boxing champion, so you ain't going to make me scared. You know, so I think this is going to be a good mental thing for Jakey going into his next one because nobody's going to be as dangerous or as scary as this big guy right here, right? So for Jake, you go out there, you do what you do. You know, everyone thought you were going to lose. At least you didn't get flatlined cold, stiff as a board, right? So there's the takeaway in that. You know, was able to show some toughness. I think, you know, he did fight a very awkward fight, which is probably why he went so long, right? You're not going to go out there as if you're Jake. What are you going to stand in the middle and say, let's just trade? Or are you going to stand out there and try to, you know, out technical box this guy? No, you got to go out there and make it weird, you know, shoot them takedowns on him, run away a little bit. You know, and he did that, and that's why he was able to go as far as he did and have a little bit of success, okay? So, very good work for Jakey, in my opinion. And, you know, as I said, I think tonight, actually, right, Saturday here, who's fighting? Andrew Tate, right? He's boxing. So, I think the future for Jake is definitely not over. He's got a lot of options out there. He's still got plenty of options. And I think Andrew Tate gets a win tonight. He'll be at the top of the list for Jakey. Go out there, rebound with a good, nasty win against Andrew Tate, and keep this puppy rolling because these spectacles, they are fun. You know, you can't tell me going into this when they were walking, you weren't like, oh, I'm a little nervous. I wasn't nervous that AJ was going to get flatlined or whatever. It was just the whole event, not the whole event. The whole event was a bit of a snooze fest, right? But the magnitude of this fight specifically, it was pretty nerve-wracking. You know, I was like, I'm a little excited here. We got no UFC on, so this is getting me excited, okay? But yeah, you know, as far as the event goes, man, I hate this boxing system, right? This is the thing, you know, you got the team UFC, team MMA, team boxing, blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, that co-main that, you know, finally the co-main's over with, and usually, you know, that co-main comes up, and if you don't like the co-main, you go, oh, it's time for a bathroom break. But with boxing events, you go, okay, now the co-main's up. Now I will go take my bathroom break. And then when you get back, they might almost be ready to walk. You know, let's sit through 30 separate groups of people yapping about the fight that we don't care about. Hey, let's pan to the crowd and sit on people's faces for 5 minutes and they just stare at the camera awkwardly. Are you kidding me? Like, what's up with the promotion of this sucker? Like, the way they promote these boxing events, you would think that they didn't hype the fights. They had no pre-build-up. They announced this fight on the same day, so they got to drag it out as long as they can. Like, nobody knows. We know the fight's here. We're tuned in. Get these crappy fights out the way. Get the face cams off these random D-list celebrities we don't know. Quit throwing in separate groups of people. I think for Jake here, he's going to go out there and he's going to swing it back. Like, we do not care what you've got to say, bud. Get out of the screen, get out of the way, and let these boys fight. But, that's boxing. They're going to drag it out. They're going to make it a long scene, a bunch of ad breaks, a bunch of nonsense. And then we finally get to this, So I was glad at least there was a bit of excitement. Jake was hitting him. He was moving. It was always that, when's Jake going to get caught? So at least the event was saved by a bit of that excitement. And, yeah, overall, as far as this fight goes overall, it was pretty fun. It's fun to watch, fun thing to see when you got nothing else to watch, and you got no UFC. Can I speak? You got no UFC for a little bit. So I'm not mad when they throw these suckers on, We got this Jake Paul fight that just went down. We got the Tate fight tonight. So at least we got a little bit of something to fill in the gaps of our time here. So this fight, it was interesting. I think Jake Paul, he's not going to get no respect. People are going to still hate on him, but it was pretty sick to see him go out there. Had a crazy fun walkout, went out there, did his thing. And I don't think the ship is over, Heal that jaw up, and maybe Andrew Tate is next, and we go from there.